Summer Superman's not over yet. I still have a spoiler video coming out. It's going to be a spoiler-filled, in-depth talk. It's going to be between me and my friend Doggo. Be on the lookout for that coming soon. But before that, let's rank the Superman movies now that we have seen them all. I visited all of them before this movie in lead-up and hype to it. Now that I've seen James Gunn's Superman, I feel right in ranking them. Let's talk about it. Coming in at number 9, that is my least favorite personally. This is just me with Superman 3. Superman 3 is just, to me, I feel like I'm not really attached to this movie in any way I watch it. Like, I don't really have nostalgia for it. I don't really find that much connection between the characters whatsoever compared to 1 and 2 and the emotional depths they're able to reach. I don't really enjoy how this movie does try to go full comedy, but if you do that, you gotta make the comedy work. I don't feel like this worked fully for it, and I even felt like it kind of neutered Richard Pryor in that. I thought he actually could have been even a dramatic presence if they wanted him to be, if they really wanted to do that, and I just felt like this movie kind of lost the opportunity to do that, and more also even create Superman and give him more of a in-depth look because he's fighting himself kind of in this movie. But it kind of feels like a missed opportunity, not to put it down. I know this movie has some fans. I know all the Christopher Reeves movies have their lovers and fans, even 3 and 4. But like for me personally, Superman 3 is my least favorite of that series in particular, and in general of Superman movies. Don't really feel much connection to it whatsoever, myself personally. And at number 8 is going to be Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. The only reason I kind of put this slightly, just barely, just literally only a little bit above Superman 3 is that I think Superman 4 Quest for Peace at least sometimes gets so insane wacky that it is kind of fun to watch in just a weird, absurd kind of way. And I do have a lot of sympathy for the fact that Christopher Reeve really wanted to try to make this movie the best he could. It's just a lot of stuff got in the way, like the studio meddling, just certain things with the budget, just things that were holding him back. It's tragic, but it shows that Christopher Reeve did really care about this character because any scene he has in it, and Superman 3 before it, he is great, and that is what elevates these movies to a level to where like there is enjoyable parts that can be found in them because Christopher Reeve is just so good as the character. 7, look, Superman Returns, I was kind of initially nice to in my revisit video of it, but it was really more just because I was kind of taken aback by certain scenes that I enjoyed more than I remembered. With that being said, it's still definitely not one of my favorite Superman movies. It has a lot of issues I do have with it that I didn't really harp on too much in my video initially of it, but there are some stuff, like issues that I do have in terms of pacing. The way it explores Superman sometimes is very flawed in terms of just, it feels kind of at odds with itself. It wants to be a movie that is about a guy who's inspirational and brings hope like Christopher Reeve before him. However, I find that this movie does a lack in terms of just being authentic with who Superman is. You know, he left a kid behind, didn't really think much of it. He left Lois behind, didn't really think much of it. Like, and stuff like that, where I'm like, you could have kind of explored that a little more to explain why he would do that. I don't feel like this movie always fully explored that to the fullest potential. And even Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, he's not great. I get what they're going for, but I think Gene Hackman just brought a better presence in terms of being fun and being somewhat of a good time and still being self-aware in what he was doing. I don't feel like he's a great Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman, but I do feel more of a captivated presence with him than I do Kevin Spacey for sure. That mixed with a lot of, just, again, times where the movie is at odds with itself. There are moments where I do appreciate it. Like, there are certain scenes, like when Superman takes to his isolation and decides that, he is someone who's still, at the end of the day, at his most depressed, he's like, I like saving people. I do appreciate moments like that. That do go a long way. All in all, this is still a very flawed movie in terms of a Superman sequel to the movies that came before, and just in general on the character. We had better time than Superman 3 and 4, but still in my lower tier. 6 is Superman 2, The Lester Cut. The Lester Cut is the movie, the initial theatrical release of Superman 2. This movie has a lot of great moments in it. It does have a lot of those excellent scenes that Donner did film, where it is showing the continuity with Lois and Clark. I really love that deeper exploration of their relationship in terms of Lois wanting to figure out who Clark is. I will say, I think it's a little bit more of a flawed execution than the initial Donner cut, and I do prefer that version. But the scenes that are still within spirit of who Superman is as a character, and some of the wackiness and fun and zaniness is still there and still enjoyable and entertaining. And I think here it's a lot more tame than, say, Superman 3, which is full Lester. Not to put him down as a person or director, just in terms of, I found the tonal balance of Superman 2 Lester cut a lot more well refined than I did Superman 3 myself. And that's just me and my personal take on that. But with that being said, Superman 2 has a lot of great moments. I think Christopher Reeve is awesome of the romance between Lois and Clark and the personal scenes with them. Christopher Reeve, again, he's the standout. Like, it's excellent with him. Superman 2 Lester Cut has some great moments. Definitely not my preferred cut of the movie, but a movie I still enjoy when I watch it. Number 5, Superman 2 The Donner Cut. I really enjoyed the Donner Cut. I do find it is still not as We're fine because they are dealing with certain footage that was just unfinished. They are also using chemistry stuff between the actors to kind of fill in the gaps of what was on film. But with that being said, the moments that did come together are still excellent, and I do love General Zod in this movie. He's so fun and hammy, but still, like, you get where he's not where he's coming from, but you do feel some sympathy for him. Doesn't fully explore it as much as I would like to, but with that being said, I think the relationship between Lois and Clark is all the better in this movie. I really love their dynamic. I love the moments between Lois and Clark. Lois Lane, Margot Kidder as Lois Lane is so good. I love her scenes where she is just breaking down who Clark could be and figuring it out for herself, really adding that independence to her as a character and showing how good of a journalist and investigative person she can be. I really love those scenes. The dialogue scenes in Superman 2 are a lot more fun for me to watch than the action. And the action for the time when this movie came out was really good. I really enjoyed the Superman 2 Dawn of Cut, even though you can tell it's a labor of love. They didn't have to come back and re-release this, but the fact that they chose to just speaks to the fact that, like, I do appreciate that we got it. And I really enjoy Superman 2 The Dawn of Cut a lot for it. I find Gene Hackman's presence to be a lot of fun. I don't think, though, personally, he's just not a Lex I emotionally ever connected to. So with this being said, it's a part of the movie that still is kind of a downside. Is like, at the end of the day, his motivation is real estate. It kind of never feels like anything more than that. Number 4 is going to be Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. I do think this is a very flawed take if we're looking at it from the lens of optimistic, bright, hopeful Superman. I do enjoy this movie, even with its certain pacing issues. I do enjoy a lot of the elements in terms of Clark Kent being at odds with the idea that, like, humanity does not want him around, and how he has to kind of deal with that and really become internal while still dealing with the fact that someone like Batman, who's viewing him through a flawed lens of humanity as well, and how humanity would see Superman and put all these ideas and thrust them onto him as a person, while Clark Kent maybe just wants to do the right thing. I do appreciate that swing that this movie takes. There are moments that do get in the way of, I think, how smooth the themes can be handled, but with that being said, there's still some excellent moments with Clark Kent / Superman in this movie. I don't feel like we get as much time to develop the Clark Kent persona as much. With that being said, I do like the scenes where you do get his contemplative side, where you do get the moments where Lex is kind of breaking it down, and I do think Jesse Eisenberg does a lot for the character of Lex Luthor in this movie. It's the first time we see Lex Luthor be a character that does have a motivation beyond just real estate. He actually wants to bring Superman to his knees, and you do see the satisfaction in that. I do enjoy Jesse Eisenberg as Lex, though, and I think he does a lot for bringing this movie up in terms of just the scheming aspect, the tech side of it, the zany, weird craziness of him. I don't feel like this movie always fully sings on what it's trying to deliver on, especially given that it's a crossover. It's hard to rank it as a Superman movie, but given that Superman is still a relevant point in the Ultimate Edition, I do want to rank him in here, and I'm just a lot more emotionally captivated by what they're going for in this movie than Let's Try to Get Real Estate or something like that, which kind of just brings down emotional context, and I do need that emotional context. I'm a lot more gravitated to that in this movie. That's the only reason I kind of put it above Superman 2, but not above certain movies that are going to come after this. With that being said, let's get to the next one. 3 is Man of Steel. Like, Man of Steel is a movie I will always love. I do have some issues with it, again, like BVS, but I do still enjoy the take we're going for here. I do like what Zack Snyder brought to the table with Superman and getting him introduced in this type of world. He's a very flawed character. He's someone who is trying to do the right thing, but it shows that while he's trying to find his Kryptonian side, he still loves saving people. He's still hooked on that. I do find sometimes the movie gets in its own way with the action scenes, with sometimes Clark Kent does lack on saving people when they could show it. The destruction itself never bothered me. Sometimes I could use certain moments, though, where Clark Kent gets a little more self-aware of his anger, just to make it feel more like the character. That is something that does bring this movie down a couple of points. Plus, I'm not a fan of the Paul Kent death. I really enjoy Henry Cavill as Superman, though, in this movie. I don't feel like we got to explore the full Clark Kent identity from him, but I do think for this introductory level, I do love him as the character in terms of just wanting to find himself in the world while still wanting to save people at the same time, but still wanting to see his Kryptonian heritage as well. And that comes back in full swing, and we really get to see how that affects him. In this first movie, at least, I do like that he is a flawed hero in it. He's still on the first day. I do wish we got more scenes of his self-awareness in that, when he might be hurting people, and I do think this movie kind of falls short in that at times, while still highlighting why Superman wants to save people at the same time. Sometimes it is flawed. I still really enjoy the execution overall and the swings this movie takes, even though, again, like I said before, not a fan of the Paul Kent death, not a fan of some moments in this movie where it does feel like it takes action over character. Well, at the end of the day, I still love Michael Shannon as Zod. I think he brings so much humanity to the role of that character, so much desperation. That dynamic between him and Superman fighting each other, on the emotional level is very interesting to me, and I do enjoy that element of this movie a lot. It does bring it up a lot for me. The only one I rewatch more than a lot of the other movies on this list, even number 2 admittedly, but number 2 is above it for a certain reason. We will talk about it right now. Number 2 is Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, directed by Richard Donner. The way this movie was able to just bring in the character of Clark Kent, introduce Superman as a concept to the world. This movie had such a harsh effort to pull off in terms of just not only bringing in a character of Superman for comic book fans, but just introducing him to the general audience. And I thought this movie excelled in that. It really ran so every other Superman movie could run alongside it. Like, that's what I love so much about this film, is so emotionally authentic. It's so fun with its characters, yet it doesn't lose the heart. It's a fun, heart-filled romance. This movie's more of a romance than it is even a superhero action movie. The action in this movie they're not really action scenes, they're moments of him saving people, and it's all the better for that. I love that this movie is so dedicated to just being a movie about characters learning about each other. Lois and Clark learning about each other throughout this movie is the heart and center of it, and it's what makes it one of my favorite Superman movies ever. And I find Gene Hackman a lot of fun as Lex Luthor as well. I'm not emotionally captivated like I've talked about ad nauseum by him, but I still enjoy the performance, and I still think he's having a lot of fun with it, and I do appreciate that part of this movie a lot, at least in being self-aware with itself and having fun with it, even though I do find the emotional side of me being kind of captivated by Lex as a character and his motivation do find it kind of lacking. I do really appreciate everything else about this movie, though, so much. It ran so every other Superman movie could run as well. That's why it's at my number 2. I adore this movie, but there's just one more movie in front of it that just, like, man, is a lot. Number 1, after seeing it twice, and honestly, I don't think it's recency bias. The movie just really affected me. Is James Gunn's Superman, to me, is the definitive Superman I have gotten on screen for me. It's the Superman I've always wanted to see on screen that I didn't know I wanted to see on screen, because to me, Superman is a character I was late to. I got into him as a kid with Christopher Reeve initially, but like I took a long break from it. I was more of a Batman, Spider-Man kid. And over the years, as Man of Steel came out, as Superman media in terms of animation came out, I slowly kind of got more into the character. But it was definitely during the Injustice era. So a lot of that was Injustice-style storytelling with evil Superman. At a point, growing up, I admittedly got to the point where I was just like, while I enjoy the Snyder films, I'm kind of tired of Superman Injustice style. I'm kind of that style of storytelling right out the gate. I just kind of want authentic Superman to feel lived in again. And that's what this movie gave me. It gave me that in spades. Like, I love how this jumps right into it. We're beyond the origin. We've gotten the origin. I wanted to get past that point with Man of Steel 2. We never got it, and that's fine. I love that this movie brings in the character in a fresh new way. I love how confident in itself that it is after 2 viewings. I love the pacing. The first time I had to kind of adjust to it. I had to kind of bring myself into what this movie wanted to be. Didn't mind the twists and the turns, but the fact that I didn't realize half the trailer was in the first act really threw me for a loop. But once I realized that, I was like, oh, they have so much more to show us. And what they show us is so good. I love this movie and its confidence in its storytelling, its confidence in its character of Clark Kent. David Cord's is my favorite Superman in live action. He's 3-dimensional. It feels realistic with him and Lois Lane. I love their back and forth. I like this movie takes time to breathe with them while still moving at a breakneck pace, yet it knows when to slow down and breathe with characters. It knows when to present their flaws as well, between Lois, between Clark, between Mr. Terrific, between the Justice Gang. Everyone is a reflection of why Clark Kent has been inspirational. It's still a Superman movie at the end of the day while having other heroes. Brings in the exciting action that I've wanted from Man of Steel, that grit and excitement and that Superman awesomeness that you want to get in an action movie, but still not forgetting that he's a character that cares about saving people, is about hope, is about hoping everyone is okay and making sure that is the priority. I love that this movie has so much attention to detail with its action. It's fun, it's dynamic. It's the most dynamic action we've gotten in a Superman movie ever, in my opinion. I do think it's my favorite action out of the Superman films. It's also my favorite in terms of having it tell a story through the action. We see Clark Kent gain his confidence again through the story. We see him presented with moments that put him through the ringer. It's almost like a Spider-Man 2 approach where we really just show the vulnerability of this guy. We put him down over and over again in this movie. I love that Superman kind of does that. This film knows how to explore the flaws of Clark Kent, the flaws of Superman, make him vulnerable. I love that he is struggling throughout this film, and it makes it for an arc. Superman is my number 1 of the year, and my number 1 Superman movie. Be on the lookout, you're about to get a spoiler-filled video between me and my friend Doggo. We're going to be talking about this movie in depth, just going through it together. I'm so excited to share that with you guys. Thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. I will see you next time. What's your favorite Superman movie, your least favorite to your favorite? What's your ranking of the Superman films? Thank you so much for watching. See you with that video. Be on the lookout. Hashtag look up. Hashtag summer Superman. Thank y'all so much. I will see you next time.